Okay, so why don't I now introduce myself? So welcome to the Value of You. We're going to talk about the power of personal branding. My name's Olivia Bechthold, and I'm a marketing consultant. I work primarily with women entrepreneurs and professionals to grow their personal business and their brands. So their personal brands, their business brands, their organizational brands, but growing that online digital presence. And I'm excited to be here to talk to you about the power of you and harnessing your own personal brand. So today we're going to talk about a few things, the essence of a personal brand, what it is, why it's important, the steps to design your personal brand, and then building on that design. So how do you continue to grow that personal brand? And then, of course, we'll have time for some Q&A. So before we get started, those of you that are with us today, maybe drop in the chat, where are you at with your personal brand? Are you, have zero online presence? Do you have some online presence, but you need some work? You'd like to grow upon that? Or are you just killing it in the personal brand department? What to reinvent? I love that. Zero. Anyone else? Let me gauge where you're at with your personal brand or what you hope to learn today. Online presence. Awesome. This is great. So we're all here to learn today, and I love that. All right, so I would like to start today out with one of my favorite quotes when it comes to personal branding. We are CEOs of our own companies, Me Inc. To be in business today or not, our most important job is to be head marketer for the brand called You. And that's by Tom Peters. So today we're focused on the brand called You. So next, let's talk about what is a personal brand. Your personal brand is how you define the distinctive value that you bring to your audience. Like corporate branding, we associate specific feelings, values, expectations with the brands we trust, the things you buy every day. Why do you choose the product or the company that you purchase from? Every company has a story and an image. You know when you see something that's Target, that it's Target, or that big old smiley face, that it's Walmart or Coca-Cola, Nike. They all give off their own feeling and brand image. And that's the same that applies to you and your personal brand. Your personal brand is a combination of your professional talents, your interests, your values, your opinions, and your strengths, and your personality. It all comes down to personality. So the number one rule of personal branding is to be authentic. People like people. Your brand should highlight your human side. Voices and personalities set brands and people apart. That's what makes us all unique and different. Branding yourself means aligning your online persona with your real life one. So we're not here to create some new online version, avatar version of you. This is just how to bring your personality and put it online and put it out there for those to see. And building your brand isn't just marketing yourself. That's part of it. It's not just about, selling your talents and strengths and skills and services. It's also about showing your personality and showing what you bring as an individual. It also doesn't equal influencing. I know a lot of people think of the word influencer. We are not here to necessarily build 1 million billion followers, though that might be your goal. It doesn't have to be. Having an online brand can be the scale that you want to make it. And let's be honest, we all have a digital footprint. We all exist online in some capacity at this point. It's 2023. So we might as well make the most of it and make sure it's truly reflective of who we are. So regardless of what you do, you may be a C-suite executive, you may be an entrepreneur, you could be a stay-at-home mom, a yoga teacher, a retired person. It doesn't matter. Your personal brand will always help you to find the opportunities that align with who you are and what you have to share with the world. So now we're going to look at the steps to design your brand. So you're going to determine your focus, specify your skills and your expertise, identify your voice and your visual identity, and then find your people in your place. So let's start by looking at determining your focus. So basically this comes down to, what are your interests and passions? What turns you on? Get your minds out of the gutter. What turns your crank? Start curating materials that align with your personal values, books, podcasts, articles, events, quotes, and visuals. What are you drawn to? What speaks to you? And why do these things speak to you? Think about that as well. For me, I really enjoy speaking with fellow or supporting fellow women entrepreneurs. But for you, it could be you're very passionate about DEI, supporting work-life balance, the power of mentorship, access to education, positive thinking, habit building, health and well-being, whatever really makes you tick, whatever you feel passionate about, whatever you find interest in and want to share that interest with others. So if you're in the chat, what is your focus? Feel free to share. What are some things that really drive your passion, fuel your engine, fill your cup? And what if we don't know what value we bring to our brand? Well, Alex, we're gonna talk more about that. So this is really on the creating. It's great to start pulling those articles, dogtailing those, or dog-earing those pages, saving those articles and those podcasts that really, really resonate with you, and then looking at why they resonate with you. A people person. I love that, Erica. People follow me even when I don't know where I'm going. Makes it hard to narrow it down. You don't have to only have one thing. This is just the beginning of figuring out what interests you, what engages you. Used to know, but since being unemployed, you don't know anymore, and that makes sense. Women in tech and education for all. And so again, if you look at what are you reading these days? What did you read this morning? What did you watch last night? What are you consuming, and why are you drawn to those things? What do you resonate with them or against them? So then we move into what is your skill. You're specifying your skills and expertise. So what are you really good at? What are your zones of genius? We like to call them at Women in Cloud. And these can be from your skills, your experience, your subject matter. What are the things that make you or your work stand out? So I saw Chaitra just shared in the chat. I'm sure many of you know Chaitra. Sustainable access and equity creation. I love that. And so Chaitra is also a subject matter on cloud. That's why we're Women in Cloud, not Women in Tech as abroad. Where does your really niche expertise lie? Supporting the growth of others. Anna, it's a great answer. And maybe it's something, I work with a woman who has moved from a corporate professional to a stay-at-home mom and now into an entrepreneur who's coaching other women leaders. And her big thing is relatability. She's been in all of the different roles. What if you're just starting out and you don't know what your expertise is? Well, I think we all have a good understanding of what we're good at. So take a look in your everyday life. Are you routine? Are you organized? Are you good at connecting people? Can you look in this chat right now and say, Erica's really good at organizing and Anna's really good at supporting growth, and how can those two things come together? Are you really good at the creative side of things? Can you draw? Can you paint? Can you write? Where Where do you excel? Training people. Absolutely. Being a teacher, and we had someone else talk about being a leader. Those are definitely things to look into. Processes. Simplifying and clarifying. I love that one, Julie. Connecting all the dots, strategic mentorship. Yeah, are you a mentor? Do you see the power that you create by being a mentor and want to share that with others? What are the things that really make you feel like you are excelling? And then we get into identifying your voice and your visual identity. So what does your brand sound like? What are your brand words? Is your brand are you educational? Are you inspirational? Are you looking to empower? What are your key brand words? Feel free to share some in the chat. Or often I like to look at brand voice as this, but that. For example, I'm authoritative. I'm a authority figure in my field. I know what I'm talking about, but I'm friendly. I'm educational, but I'm fun, positive, upbeat. Yes. What other brand words come to mind? Compassionate, decisive, and strategic. Wonderful. And think about your own personality. What do you sound like when you talk? Are you strict? Are you fun? Do you throw in jokes? What's your voice sound like? If people were to describe your voice and your tone, what would it sound like? I am fun, authoritative. I love this. And then on the same theme, what does your brand look like? Are you corporate looking? Are you, black and white? Are you lots of fun pastel colors? Passionate and sincere. Those are great words. Team focused. Wonderful. Young and energetic. Explosive and primary colors. And I mean, you're looking at my presentation today. I chose these colors and they match to WIC colors and they also match to my own tone. There's some dark because there's some, professionalism, but then there's those pops of bright and colorful. And I like to think that represents my own personal brand. If you look at yourself as a color, what kind of color do you see? What kind of visuals are you attracted to? Pink. I love that, Chai. I think you and I agree on that one. Purple. And again, this can come back to, Chai and I love pink. We are fun and we are bubblegum pink, but we are also educational, informative. So your brand can be this, but also that. And I like to think of it that way. Calming colors. Anna, that's very true. Turquoise. Beautiful. And of course, when it comes to identifying your brand visual identity, there are a lot of different tools and templates out there that can help you work around that. So you do not have to be a graphic artist to have a brand color in mind. And the next step is finding your people and your place. So this is all about your influences, your audiences, and your channels. So who has similar interests to you? Who can you learn from? There's lots of bloggers, writers, influencers, industry leaders, whatever space you're existing in, wherever you have identified your zone of genius and your area of passion, there are people that share that space. So who's there? What are they saying? What can you learn from them? What are they doing? And then most importantly, how are you similar? But also, how are you different from them? And on the other side of that is who's in your audience? Who will be interested in what you have to say? Who can learn from you? Who do you hope to teach? And you want to identify these target audience groups, whether they be, for me, women entrepreneurs and professionals. For you, it could be working moms, tech professionals, whatever that looks like. And then lastly, where are these different influencers and audiences connecting? What are those channels? Are they primarily on LinkedIn? Maybe you're targeting a more youthful or visual demographic that's existing on Instagram. Maybe it's around folks who are more often on Twitter. So where are these conversations happening? Where are these discussions of things that you are interested in happening? So who's in your audience or on your influencers list? Do you know who's in your audience? And this can be broad, but it can also be more niche. And I will say, which is a whole other discussion of getting into end user personas and end user marketing, but understanding who your audience is, the more you know about them, the better you can deliver what they need. So who do you, when you think about what you have to share with the world, your own experiences, your own skills, who would be interested? Who could you teach? Maybe they're young professionals. Maybe they're retirees looking for a career change. Where can you provide value? Who wants to learn from you? And of course, who can you learn from? It's all about just passing on that knowledge with your own identity attached. Millennial women, especially those finding their voice and looking to expand their personal and professional horizons while maintaining balance. Awesome answer. Thank you, Anna. And again, this all comes back to you as an individual. Think about who you're drawn to in your everyday life. You were in a room full of 100 people. Who are the people that you will automatically be attracted to go and speak to? And not from a physical attraction perspective, but as far as, again, millennial women, who can you offer your services to? So after you've designed your personal brand, you've, found your people, your place, your voice, you've specified your skills and expertise and determined your focus, it's time to build it. So your personal brand is very much like your home. You want to design it to look exactly like you and represent you, and then you need to build it. So the first steps of building your brand are positioning, updating your online footprint, getting into that sharing, putting yourself out there, the rules for engagement, and then growing your audience. So when we look at positioning, this is all about telling your story. What makes you professionally unique? What can you share with the world? And this can be hard, really hard, to figure out what makes you different. And it doesn't have to be a massive piece. It could be like the person I was telling you about who has worked in many different backgrounds. She's been corporate, she's been a stay-at-home mom, and she has also been an entrepreneur. And so her big differentiating factor, her unique selling point is her relatability. She's been in multiple places, multiple people's feet, multiple people's shoes. So what makes you different? And so I like to look at this from a positioning statement. And we'll now look at the format that I like to use for positioning statements. So that is, I am blank. I help support blank, understand or do blank, so that blank. So in the first step, you want to introduce yourself. In the next blank, you want to clarify who it is that you help or those that benefit from your contribution. So looking again at who are your people? What's your place? Who are you helping? Then you want to state what your audience, clients, customers understand or do better as a result of your help. And finally, we have the so that statement, which is where your audience benefit from working with you. So my positioning statement is, my name is Olivia Bechthold. I help women entrepreneurs and professionals build their personal brand so that they can establish themselves as industry leaders and access growth opportunities. And you want to really, rehearse, write, reposition this statement as many times as you need to. Run it by people you know, especially people you know professionally, people who are going to have an unbiased opinion, and rehearse it. This is your elevator pitch of your personal brand. So if anyone wants to take a stab at their positioning statement, and there is a typo in there, you don't have to say I am I. I apologize for that. Is branding important for entry-level and early career people? I think personal branding is important throughout your career. Whatever you're doing, this will always help you find opportunities that are aligned to your true passion. And again, it's there to benefit you the most. So it's putting the effort into ensure you are putting yourself out there in the best possible way to find those opportunities and those connections and all of the things that really align to what you're passionate about and where you'll excel. Does anyone have a draft branding or positioning statement they want to share in the chat? Unemployed and looking to re-enter the workforce? Absolutely. This is where a positioning statement is extra important. How would you walk into an interview? How do you immediately pitch yourself? How do you pitch yourself to a new connection you meet at an event in 30 seconds or less so that they're interested in contacting you later? Finding where you can create the most value and being able to market that or express that is really going to help you if you're re-entering the workforce, if you're changing careers, if you're unemployed, even if you're just you're retired and you're looking for a passion project that really brings you joy. I am Alex. I help educate industry leaders on bystander interventions so they can create safe workspaces. I love that, Alex. That is awesome. And thank you for being brave and sharing. And again, this is a great opportunity to share your statements and have people, give feedback or take a look at how others are writing theirs. So the next step, you've written your positioning statement, you have that kind of tagline for your brand, the just do it of your Me Inc. We're going to get into reviewing your online footprint. So you want to audit your digital presence. What channels do you exist on? Make sure that positioning statement is somehow worked into your bios. Update your headshots. Take a headshot that really reflects who you are. If you're fun and outgoing, maybe you're laughing in your headshot. You're fueled by coffee. Maybe you're drinking a cup of coffee in your headshot. Whatever shows your personality. Headshots are more now than, the stern arms crossed photo that we're used to. They can reflect you in the best of ways, and that will be professionally acceptable. So take advantage of that. And if you are, the stern arm crossed kind of person, if that's your brand image and voice, then be that person. But use that headshot, treat yourself to some new headshots or have your friend take them or snap a selfie. But make sure that headshot reflects you. Love that, Erica. Did a professional headshot last year with her cobalt blue hair color. Exactly. There are no rules with headshots anymore. Make sure it reflects you and speaks to your personal brand. And then make sure that these things are updated across all your channels. I would say at least those that you use professionally. However, a reminder that your digital footprint does exist beyond just the channels you choose to use professionally. So you want to ensure that your brand which is just a reflection of your personality, is authentic across all channels. Love this discussion of headshots. I also need new headshots. The reminder to everyone, we all need to invest in good quality headshots. And then the next step is to start sharing. Put yourself out there. Create original content. You can write blogs on LinkedIn or other blogging platforms like Medium. Curate and share articles, videos, photos, quotes, etc. that align to your brand. When we were talking at the beginning of this about curating those things that speak to you and fuel your passion, start saving those. I have on every social media network different saved folders where I save articles that I can share later because they resonate with me. And how do we, curate that information? Always ensure, though, if you are sharing other people's work, that you ensure you use your own caption that reflects your thoughts and your position on whatever is discussed. Share photos from events or experiences you attend. Maybe you're just having coffee with a client or a friend. Maybe it's a day in the life. This is how I start my day with my tea and my oatmeal. Marissa and I were just talking about my regular ritual of English breakfast tea. You can share moments of, look how cluttered my desk looks at the end of the day, at the end of the week on Friday after a busy week. So making sure that those pictures and moments that you share really express you. Personal accounts and professional accounts, that's a great question, Alex. So I think that comes up to you in the sense that you can choose which accounts you use for which purposes. I use LinkedIn professionally. I use Facebook to connect with my close friends and family. But coming back to what I said before is just remember that even with all the things you can block and hide, that your digital footprint is always going to exist. And we have seen this many times of horror stories where people can pull stuff off of your personal accounts and use it to reflect your professional. So you don't have to share everything everywhere, but make sure you're being authentic and representative of yourself. Best to be transparent. Exactly. Transparency, authenticity, the rule of the game across the board. And again, it's 2023. I think we've come to accept people for who they are and loving them for what they can do to benefit us. So be yourself. Don't be afraid to be yourself. Going back to sharing things. So collect testimonials, LinkedIn recommendations, Google reviews. You can ask people to give you these recommendations or reviews. You can have people you've worked with in the past, clients, etc., current, past, present, etc., to have them share things about you. And then find speaking engagements or awards that fit your expertise and brand values. These all add to your trust score. So especially these things like testimonials, speaking engagements, awards, it's the same as when you're shopping on Amazon and you read reviews, or you're purchasing a car and looking at the safety awards. They all kind of accrue into your own trust score. How do you ask? Is there a protocol? I would say if you know someone well enough to feel comfortable asking them, or you have done work for them, there's never a harm in asking. The worst they could do is say no. The easiest way to do it, I have found, and this is just works for me. So if others have their own feedback to share, but write them a review for you and have them just okay it. You can take the work off of them or provide some easy, prompts to discuss what they did with you. And so speaking of opportunities to build your trust score, I'm going to do a shameless Women in Cloud plug here because we have some opportunities that you may be interested in. The first of which is our Insider Circle. So Insider Circle is an annual membership program where you can actually work on your speaker development. So finding those speaking engagements and being ready to give your talk And we have an in-house amazing speaking coach named Tucker, who some of you may know. He's worked with a number of TED Talkers, and he will help you develop your speaker bio and your signature talk. You get exclusive access to events like this and all of our signature events. There's speaking opportunities within the Women in Cloud Network. There's also spotlight opportunities, which we're talking about sharing digital content. So this creates some great digital content for you. Both the spotlights, any speaking opportunities you promote or awards you've won. There's member-to-member networking, so some peer-to-peer conversation where we can actually work on our positioning statements together and share those with one another and receive that feedback. We have leadership roundtables where we discuss different leadership topics. You can help kind of influence the upcoming WIC initiatives. And then, of course, warm introductions. So being able to have that 1 degree of separation from anyone else in the WIC network that you'd like to communicate with. Can I put speaking opportunities on my resume? What is the benefit? Absolutely. Again, it's showing that trust score. It's showing that you are knowledgeable in your zone of genius, in your personal brand, that people want you to speak publicly on it. And I think that is definitely a benefit on anything. And our next opportunity in the same vein is the Empower Access Awards. So these are our 3rd annual Empower Access Awards. We have 8 different categories, so I'm sure there is something that most of you could find your way to fit into. They're not all tech related. Some are around mentorship, allyship, innovation, all of those things. And the nominations open today. So please feel free to nominate yourself or someone else for the Empower Access Awards. And that's, again, just a great way to help promote your own expertise and that you get this kind of 5-star review within your field, your zone of genius. So now I finished that shameless plug. Yes, there are awards. We have a B2B startup award under 2 years. There are 8 different categories. Definitely check them out. I think there's something for everyone in there. So now that you've started sharing, we're going to get into the rules of engagement. My number 1 reminder is that your digital channels are a 2-way street. This is not just you word vomiting information to people. This is being a connection, having some level of engagement. So the rules are: be consistent. You don't have to post every single day. You don't even have to post once a week, but find a cadence that works for you and ensure you're sticking to it. Use a call to action. You're not just putting something out there, kind of FYI. Ask for others to comment their opinions, send them to do something, ask them to read an article, encourage them to reach out to others in their network. Whatever that looks like, create some sort of call to action. Engage and respond. So when you see those posts of your connections, engage with them. If someone replies or sends a comment on your post, respond to them. If you leave a comment on someone else's post while engaging and someone responds to that, respond back, like it. Make sure there's that interaction. Use photos or create visual assets to align with your brand. People are way more likely to engage with your content if there's something visual to go along with that. And again, coming back to things like Canva, you can use stock photos, whatever that looks like, to ensure that there's something visual that aligns to your brand to go with what you post. And then use tools or hire help where needed. There are tons of tools. We've talked about Canva. There's ChatGPT and other AI chat-based technologies. There are also people that exist that can help you manage your personal brand. So use those tools. If you're really looking to grow, make sure that you are willing to invest in that growth. And the last step is growing your audience. So this is all about connecting and conversing. So connecting, follow, friend, connect with the bloggers, writers, influencers, and industry leaders that we identified when we were creating or designing our brand. And you can also look at their followers. So who follows them? They may be interested in your content. Connect with them. Also connect in person or in situations like this. Drop your LinkedIn handle in this chat right now and make a connection with those who are also here to learn with you today. Make sure you're saving those emails, making those connections, engaging online. And then, of course, conversing. This is when the nurturing comes in. So you've designed it, you've built it, and now you got to keep it going. It's like house maintenance. So continue to engage through likes and comments. Again, this doesn't have to be every day. Maybe you have one day a week that you go through your various social media channels, and you don't have to use all of them. Use the ones that work for you and where your identified audience is, but like things, comment on things, amplify other people's content, share it with your own thoughts, share it to cheer them on, start or join conversations and discussions. You'll often see people having discussions in the comments. Start one or join one, share your opinion where you're a leader in thought, and always remember to reply. That is a representation of your personal brand. If you're engaged and you remember to reply and don't leave people hanging. And you can always use hashtags to find relevant users or content. You can search hashtags on pretty much every social media platform. You can see who's using it, what discussions are happening around it, and what other people that you may wish to connect with are also conversing about those topics you're interested in. Look at everyone sharing their LinkedIn or any other profile. If your audience is on Twitter, share your Twitter. You don't have to be everywhere. You need to be where the people who you align with are. Maybe you have a personal website or a personal blog. Wonderful. All right, and with just 15 minutes left, I will open it up to any questions. Share your own personal brand successes or struggles. Where have you seen what works well for you or what isn't working well? Other sites you can promote your brand. Well, of course, you have your standard social media channels, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, if you are more video inclined. There's also things like Medium, which is a blogging platform. You can start your own website. There are a lot of opportunities to promote your brand. And your brand doesn't have to be your face. Not all of us want to take selfies. You can have an online image without sharing your face every day. Would positioning statements work for freelance platforms? Absolutely. That's a great way to market yourself as a freelancer. I am so-and-so. I help this group of people do this so that they benefit from this. My positioning statement is very similar to that of a freelancer. You can also have a positioning statement that's sat within your organization. At Women in Cloud, I support campaigns and initiatives that empower the women and allies we serve to increase access, and they can have growth opportunities. Growth opportunities, I think Anna said it, but that's one of the things, that's one of my buzzwords. How to balance. So again, I think it's all about finding the right balance and cadence for you. You might be a once a month poster, but you can be clear that you come back once a month for my latest blog or my latest opinion. You could be just someone who engages in comments. It's about finding the balance that works for you. It is definitely an investment of resources, whether they're your own time or paying for someone else's time. But there is definitely an investment required if you're really interested in growing your brand, like anything. But it's also about finding what works for you. Absolutely. How do I purchase personal one-on-one brand assistance? Well, Erica, there are definitely lots of folks out there. We can recommend some. I'm sure we know a few. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn and I can help find you someone who can support your brand building. And again, this comes down to the investment, making the investment to work with someone who supports your brand, who will learn your voice and tone and can remain authentic to you while still ensuring you're active online. Does anyone have any tips that they found work well for their own personal brand that they'd like to share? I don't mean to single out my sweet mom who's in the crowd, but she has really found her niche is on Twitter, and her focus is in post-secondary education. And that's where she lives. And she, sorry, Mom, for calling you out, but doesn't post a ton of original content, but she shares the content of those she wishes to engage with her own opinions. So again, it doesn't have to be reinventing the wheel. It just have to be adding a piece of yourself to what you would normally read or engage with anyways. Absolutely. If you're an employee or an entrepreneur, etc., your personal brand is always important. Unless you plan to stay doing the same thing you wish to do for the rest of your life, in all aspects of your life, your personal brand is going to help you find opportunities that align with you. Maybe you're really into pickleball in your spare time. And so creating a personal brand that reflects that will help you find those like-minded individuals who you can connect with and grow with. Cloud developers on Twitter, again, knowing where your niche is. Commenting and reposting the work of organizations and individuals I want to collaborate with. Absolutely. Getting yourself on the radar of those people you want to engage with. Can you show this brand on your resume too? Absolutely. So once you come up with your brand visuals and your brand voice, you can design your resume to align for that. Make sure your job descriptions are written in the way you would speak them, not the traditional bullet points. Include a video even of you talking. Brand your website or your resume in your brand colors so it has a nice layout. Again, Canva is great for that. You can easily find templates and just change colors and styles to make sure it matches and reflects you. Any other successes, struggles, questions, concerns? Struggle switching industries. That's definitely a difficult one. So that's where you can really start curating that content in those articles, those podcasts, those opinions on the industries you're interested in and start sharing those. I had a client who was a lawyer. She owned her own law firm. She was a corporate lawyer and she really wanted to switch into a political position in law with the Canadian kind of equivalent of the highest of judges and lawyers. And so she started sharing articles on her personal brand that aligned to her political interest and her desire to be a part of a greater change for the country. So again, just start curating content that really reflects what you're interested in And she's now been appointed to our Canadian Trade Tribunal. So it does work. Start showing your interest, putting yourself out there. It doesn't have to be what you're doing in your day-to-day job. Your personal brand does not have to reflect what you do every day. It has to reflect what you're passionate about and who you are as a person. Finding open entry-level cloud jobs. Well, Marissa may be able to help you with that. We are here with Cloud Jobs, and we do have a Cloud Jobs community and roster of open positions. So that may be something that, again, Women in Cloud can help you with. And this brings me back to considering we're investing in ourselves, in our personal brands. And so why not invest in things like the Insider Circle, where we can all come together. There was just a meetup this morning right before this event. We all talked together about our positioning statement, our struggles, opportunities, who is available within that peer-to-peer network to share openings, to share opportunities, to share resources. How important is networking for getting a job? I would say networking is very important. However, you don't have to do it in person. So again, we're here today. Share your LinkedIn and your positioning statement in the chat, and people who are interested in what you're doing can come to you. Put yourself out there. We have, within Women in Cloud, there are a lot of opportunities to connect with people who can support your own passions and your own goals. And that being said, you can network anywhere. You overhear someone at a coffee shop talking about the need for a new mechanic and you're a mechanic, why not intervene? Networking isn't as traditional as I think we need to think of it, but your network is your net worth. Absolutely, Chai. And Chaitra and I probably met in a very untraditional way, and she has become a huge part of my life and my personal brand and my growth, and having somewhere where I can work with my passions, and that's supporting women entrepreneurs and professionals. Any final thoughts, questions? I love you too, Chai. How to handle your passion not being super aligned to your career. That's a good one. I mean, there are a lot of answers to that, depending on how much of a leap you're willing to take, but how can you align your career to your passion? Are there opportunities within your career where you can pivot or join groups, the ERG groups within your organization? Start an ERG group, start something on the side. We all have our own, I mean, with all our spare time, which I understand, but what is your passion? Can you volunteer 1 hour a week to something you're really, really passionate about? How could you pull that into your career? How could you get your career involved in what you're passionate about? Or you can jump ship and take the do what you love and never have to work a day in your life and start all over again. It is never too late to follow your passion. I agree, Erica. I think your network is your pièce de résistance. And again, in the final slide that Marissa will share in a minute, you will see my LinkedIn. And please note when you connect with me that while I'm very good at helping others with their personal brand, mine myself needs its work. It takes work. So no one has to be perfect. You're never going to be perfect. You're never going to do it all. It's a constant learn and progress of finding out what works and what doesn't, and what works for you and what doesn't work for you, and how much of yourself you want to put out there. And so it's all about finding, it is really just how to reflect your human personality digitally. Well, I am so grateful for everyone who came out today and for your contributions and your participation. I believe we can make these slides available to you. So if you want to use any of the tidbits, the steps, the templates that we shared here today, please feel free to reach out to me. Please feel free to reach out to Women in Cloud. If neither of the Insider Circle or awards fit your own personal brand, I'm sure there are ways we can find to integrate you into the Women in Cloud community if you aren't already. And we are so grateful to have all of you here today. And I hope that you learned something.